Hey, good afternoon. My name is Dianne Blick. I'm with Keller Williams Hometown Partners, Blick Homes, right here in Hutchinson, Kansas. Our offices are at 11th and Main, and I want to welcome you into my hyper-local series. We've been doing this for a little bit. My passion is to share good news about other hardworking people in the community and the things that they're doing. And I am absolutely delighted today to welcome in Beals. Bree, thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you are a working mom.
Yes.
You're a fundraiser.
Yes.
You have a professional career. You have a sideline business that you do fun things with. You are a busy, busy lady.
I am.
So I wanted to talk with you today about what our world's like in all of these roles. It's been a year. We're now at the end of the first year of COVID. We're rolling into the next year. We have a lot of unknowns. And I have seen you just keep on pushing forward.
Yeah, I think that's, part of being able to be mobile with our business anymore. The fact that we can basically work from anywhere has really made that possible during COVID, being able to keep things moving. And, I work in the agricultural industry and our farmers never quit working. And so, even during COVID, it was business as usual for us. So, short of actually traveling out to some farmsteads, we were continuing to roll through. So.
Yeah, well, I know you did. So let's talk about that first. So you are a regional sales officer for Agri Financial.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you do in your your day job.
Sure. So I handle farm and ranch lending, essentially in about 6 states surrounding Kansas. I can really go anywhere. We don't have really set territorial guidelines. So I have been known to travel all over the United States to help our farmers and ranchers who need it. Really, my goal with farming and ranching is to leave the farm in a better position financially than what it was when I came to it. So we do a lot of restructuring. We take a lot of operations and, restructure everything from their line of credit to their real estate loans and leasing opportunities if they've got, grain bins or irrigation systems, equipment, those kinds of things. We'll take all of those things under and restructure it to give them more of a cash flow operation.
So I can see how that's very important in their world because they're responding to the forces of Mother Nature and what's going on there. And then there are familial issues as parents age out who got the farm from the parents before and now there's children.
Yep.
I'm going to throw a curveball here. We didn't talk about this.
Go right ahead.
So I've heard serious numbers about money leaving Kansas through the sale of farms and children of farmers sometimes not staying in the business. Is that more or less? How is it trending?
So we do a lot of what we call succession planning. And so that's bringing in those kids into the operation to then take over what their dad has built, maybe what their grandfather and great-grandfather before them has, put into motion. So we try to work with those guys closely to make sure that we are keeping those farms going. The last thing we want to do is see a farmer sell out and leave, the operation to someone else. If we can keep it in the family and we can help get that kid on their feet and moving through, a first-time farmer loan to kind of get them established, that's what we want to do. In Kansas, we are seeing some, farms that are selling out to maybe bigger farmers who are bordering Kansas. But for the most part, our guys like to keep things local. So if they are going to sell out, a lot of times they'll sell to another farmer that they know locally. So it might change hands, but it stays local.
Yeah. And so during COVID, we had the, product availability that was down for some farmers.
Sure.
We didn't have an appropriate amount of meat available at the grocery store.
Right.
How does that flow through on your end? What do you see about that?
So for us on the ranching side, it wasn't that our guys weren't producing that meat to be, processed and sold at our local grocery stores. It was more everyone was buying it so quickly in such a short amount of time and then storing it Production, as far as our ranchers go, remained the same. They were still butchering and moving through the same amount of cattle that they had in the past. I think it was more of a supply chain issue than a supplier issue. So our guys are, they were still butchering cattle as scheduled, and they have to hit a certain weight and antibiotic schedules and things like that before they move them to slaughter. And so they continued to do that. I think it was more, what did the supply chain supply to the grocery store at that time.
Did you grow up on a ranch?
I did not, no. My grandpa had some cattle out in Colorado. So, in summers when we would go out there, obviously we were around them then. However, ranching has always been something that I have loved the idea of, did help out there when I could. I do have a couple of local ranchers that I love to help work cattle when I can. Just kind of a second love for me.
Wow, perks.
So, yeah, it is. It's fun. Yeah.
Wow. In my job, I might get invited to help clean windows.
Right.
Or help
it's
with the
much more fun
loadout.
to work cattle, I'll tell you that.
Oh my goodness. Grass is greener on the other side. Yeah, how interesting. Yeah. Wow. Well, what a learning curve to be as proficient in this business as you've become, and what an amazing gift to the ranching community to have somebody with your passion behind it.
Yeah. It's definitely a love for me. I grew up more on the equestrian side. We always had horses and showed horses. And so that was kind of where I, lived most of my years in. I did have some family that ran row crop, and so I would help with some harvest here and there just when I could, and I really enjoyed that. So when I got into lending at the local credit union here, I worked for Dillon Credit Union for several years. That really kind of put me in a position where I enjoyed the financial side of things. Yeah. And then I left the financial world for a short period of time. And when AgFi came to me, it kind of married that love of having, the agricultural background with the banking background that I had before. And so the two things kind of came together, and it's definitely been my niche. So I enjoy it.
It's great when we go to work and it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
I don't feel like I work a day.
Right.
It's all...
As long as you do what you love, you'll never work a day, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. So I guess let's segue to some of the other things that you're involved in. You're a tremendous fundraiser. As a matter of fact, I think that's how you and I first met, when I was a fundraiser and you were a provider, and we were working across the table to solve problems for our organizations. So you are deeply involved as a Bueller sports mom.
Mm-hmm. I sure am.
And you also support the Cancer Council and are involved in that. And would talk a little bit about your passion for those things.
Yeah, so I serve as board president for the Crusader Diamond Club. So that is a board that was put together by John Neal, the head coach of the Bueller baseball program, really as a way to funnel funds to the baseball team. Our big picture is to be able to provide a facility, an indoor facility, hitting, and also an indoor infield, so that the guys can run drills when the weather is inclement here in Kansas. And so that's really our big goal. So fundraising for us, when they stood up the board itself, was really focused on that. So I have a passion for baseball. I grew up playing softball and fast pitch softball. Always thought I would end up coaching softball at some point, and then God blessed me with a son, and so I switched gears and got into coaching baseball, and that's kind of how I ended up with the Diamond Club. So that is really a passion for me, making sure that baseball continues, and softball continues to grow in this area. Really, there was a lull in a time period where it kind of fell off in between when I was an adolescent playing and even through high school, until recently. I would say in the last 5 or 6 years, you're really seeing it pick back up on the younger end with more club teams. And so to keep that going, the fundraising side that I do with Bueller is really important, so that we can keep those programs going, keep the equipment coming for those boys to be able to produce skills that will move them forward past playing ball in high school and on to college.
Yeah, so the goal is like every day continuing to support it. And then the bigger goal, do you have a timeline for?
We haven't really set a goal date. Last year was our first year fundraising. When they first brought me in, they asked if I would do, would bring some of those skills that I had from working with Cancer Council and doing the big dinners at Tech as well. And I love those ideas. However, I feel like we were doing a lot of that in the area. There was a lot of those opportunities to do an auction and a dinner. And so I happened to attend a Randy Rogers band concert at 365 in Inman. And I walked away thinking, why are we not holding a concert? Like, this is a great fundraiser for the baseball team. And so I took it to the board, and the board said, hey, let's go. Let's do it. We put it together with Kyle Kilgore Band, and
it was a great success.
Darren Morris. It was a huge success. Yeah. Even in the midst of COVID, I mean, we really kind of have had to shotgun it because we put it on hold. And then by, June decided that, hey, we're going to make this happen. Changed it to more of a tailgating event so that we could social distance some more. It was a lot of pivoting from what we had originally planned. And so this year we're going to continue to run with that. So we'll have the next concert on August 13th, and a couple of new bands that we're signing to do that for us. So we hope that we continue to grow that, and it will become the annual fundraiser for the baseball team.
So is this an official save the date for August 13, 2021?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep, August 13th. That will be the day.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It is fun. Yeah, it's a fun event to plan.
So you find yourself kind of everything overlaps in your world when you're passionate about it and you're working forward every day. I mean, I feel that from my board volunteer role with the symphony. And one of the practices that I have in real estate is working with seniors in transition.
Sure.
And, the truth of the matter is, typically symphonic goers, orchestral goers tend to be coming to an age where they're going to transition at some point in their life, and just getting to know people and working all of that together, it all comes together in how we can help people. I'm sure you see that too.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Our goal is obviously to help as many and touch as many ball players as we can through the Diamond Club. And then, the flip side of that, when I work with Cancer Council, is, trying to help as many cancer patients as we can in the area. And so, I had a personal family member who had a battle with cancer. And so it does hold a special place for me. And so I feel like, I think as involved as you can be to give back is important. Even if, maybe it stretches the time that you have in a day. I think I get the most out of giving back. And so I always try to find time to work that into my schedule.
Yeah. I just find myself getting up earlier and earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm staying up later and later.
Right. I'm to 5 o'clock in the morning now. And you just have to do that to do all the things that we want to do. So let's talk about the things that you want to do. What do you find? What is your core value that drives you forward? Let's talk about that.
I think the main thing what I enjoy most is helping people and making a difference. So if that's helping a farmer put his operation in a better position to grow, whether that's helping them make more money in the grain market by moving to on-farm storage and selling when the market conditions make sense versus selling when they have to. Those things are really what drives me on that side of what I do. And then on the fundraising side, so I'm highly competitive, probably competitive to a fault. And so that kind of helps drive me forward to help the next farmer or rancher or, plan the next fundraising event to get to a goal that we're looking for.
Yeah. So this has been a long, hard year.
Yes.
We've kept our energy up and about us and kept moving forward. And especially for working moms who are trying to balance, dads too, it's all, everybody. What do you think you've learned this year about yourself as a professional, as a mother? Is there something that you could encapsulate that you feel like you've learned?
I would say probably slowing down a little bit. I tend to go 100 miles an hour all the time. COVID forced me to slow down a little bit with traveling for work and, spending more time at home. And I think I realized that, my son turned 13 in August, and obviously I only have a few more years with him in the house. And so realizing that, it's really important to spend what time we can with them before they leave the nest. And so for me, my focus since COVID has been to be able to balance everything that I enjoy doing, my job, my boutique, the fundraising stuff, with parenting my son. And so some of that requires, involving him in things. He's going to work a concession stand for me this weekend at the alumni game. And so, bringing him in to help. He helps a ton with the boutique stuff. Pop-up shops, he helps set up and pull down everything. And so he's, really getting ingrained in what we're doing. And I hope that serves him well moving forward, but it also gives us some extra time to spend together while I'm still getting things done.
So he's learning from you by example.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
And he sees how hard you work. I'm sure he will. We didn't have really time to touch on your boutique. Thank you for bringing that up. So it's Chasing Grace. Mm-hmm. You have a great line of clothing.
Thank you.
And if somebody were looking for that, where would they find it?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook page, Chasing Grace Boutique on Facebook. And then we also have a website, www.chasinggraceboutique.com. Okay. I get probably more questions about the eyelash line than anything, especially when COVID hit and we couldn't go to the salons and enjoy the things that we were doing, maybe every 2 weeks at that time. And so that is actually housed under the same website as well. So they can log on to that website, find the lashes. We're getting ready to launch magnetic lashes. Hopefully in the next 3 weeks, those will be in. I just finished designing those and signed off on all of the packaging and things for that. So that will be coming soon as well.
Okay, so designing eyelashes could be like a whole nother segment.
It could, yeah. It's very interesting how the shape of an eye can dictate really what your lashes should look like. There's a whole science behind it, and it's really interesting. It's something that I would say nerd out on. But yeah, I use a lot of that research in designing eyelashes to just make women feel better.
That's amazing. That is another whole segment. Well, we're out of time. I'm just delighted that you were willing to sit down with me today. I've been wanting to highlight people who are just continuing to drive forward, following our passions, succeeding at that, leaving good tracks behind and building on the tracks in front of us.
Sure.
So, chasinggrace.com.
Yes, chasinggraceboutique.com.
Beals, an agricultural lending officer with Agri Financial. So glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Again, this is Dianne Blick with Keller Williams Hometown Partners, Blick Homes here in Hutchinson, highlighting another successful business partner in town and saying thank you for listening in. We're here to serve. Have a great day.